Say rolling around, sitting on doves, can't lie, I was high on shrubs.
So then I'll go back with another video. I'm Strange Wang and he is Nate, and we're doing top 5 serious performance by comedic actors because Chris Rock's going to be not in a dramatic movie, but more on the dramatic horror side. He's going to be in Spiral. And I'm curious about that because that shit doesn't add up. That's not real good arithmetic. But he might give it a hell of a shot and put on a great performance like these 5 people on my list and his list. I think we have a lot in common.
Probably.
But what do we have in common that's in the description?
Well, something we don't have in common is, I think it just seems like hard arithmetic for you because you're just really bad at it. But if you scroll down and open up the description below, something we do have in common is social media accounts, and you can find all of those in there. Also, we recently launched a Patreon. Would love for you to join that. Got lots of great bonuses and 3 separate tiers for you to choose from. There's no way that you can't afford at least one of them, and we would very much so appreciate the support on the channel. If you are more of a one-time donation person, we also have a link to our coffee account. You can donate to us there.
Give us your money, please. I'm going to start off. My number 5 is going to be Blue Collar. You probably haven't heard or watched this movie, but the comedian in it is Richard Pryor.
Oh, okay.
You know I love Richard Pryor. He's the best.
That's a fact.
And he's doing very good. You got Harvey Keitel to bounce off of. Very good film. You get invested in these characters. You care about their lives. And it does help the performance, but it puts them on number 5 because in the beginning, when you get off work with your factory buddies, what do you go do? You go get a beer. You joke. You bust balls. So there's a touch of comedy, but Harvey Keitel is doing it too, so it's not like he's like a stand-up comedian, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But you do have that endearingness from the start because of their friendship, and Richard Pryor's a funny motherfucker. My number 4, probably going to be a Zemeckis. I don't know if we mentioned what a Zemeckis was, but if someone has a movie 2 spots or higher, we'll save the conversation for then, and probably will, because my number 4 is Lost in Translation.
Not as Zemeckis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I thought it would be your number 1 and 2. So for me, this a real person.
Yeah.
Like, that's how good these are favorites, which is why it's like not number 1. I personally, I would say this is probably the best performance on my list.
It's debatable.
It's insane how empty this man's body language, his facial expressions, the tone of his voice, everything about him just like screams sad human being.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of sad human beings, you know, like I hang out with them sometimes to make me feel better.
Fair. That was your number 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lost in Translation is my number 5, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
Crazy.
And the reason being is, so like you mentioned, these are our favorites, so not what we think is objectively the best. But I know the 5 movies on my list really, really well. And because of that, I think that I love all of them. So that kind of allowed me to dip a little bit into like adding which I thought was the best performance in there. Not that that was the deciding factor for the order of the list altogether, but I agree with everything that you said. But the reason that I didn't give it a bump for those reasons is because I still think a lot of that is just Bill Murray's acting style in general, right? So we didn't get a lot of like the Bill Murray comedy, but Bill Murray playing the just like sad boy, like the middle-aged sad boy, he does that a lot.
That's fair.
So my number 4 is going to be Steve Carell in Little Miss Sunshine.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't watch The Office. I don't really think of him as a comedic actor. Like everything that I've seen him in, Foxcatcher, that's serious. Big Short, serious. So I guess I just don't like Date Night. That's the only thing I think he does comedy that I enjoy. I've never seen The Office. I don't know if it's a good show or bad show. I don't have that much time on my hands to watch a TV show like that. I was like 9, 10 seasons.
Never seen Anchorman?
Nah, that movie looks like dog shit.
I don't like it as much as everyone else does, but yeah, that is bonkers to me. That despite the fact that you haven't seen him in those roles, you are still not aware that that is 100% his primary.
I mean, I get that, but like for me, when I think of Steve Carell, like we did a Steve Carell top 5.
Yeah, and it was like all of his serious roles.
Yeah, like even like something like Crazy Stupid Love. It's a romantic comedy.
Yeah,
but like it's not really a comedy.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
So you're just not familiar with like the wacky Steve Carell.
Yeah, I don't dabble in that.
Well, that's how he got known.
Yeah, I
Like,
know, but that's not my cup of tea.
Well, that doesn't make it not true for him.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't think of it. I'm giving you reasons why I didn't think
that's
of it.
fair. Yeah, Little Miss Sunshine is great. Like we talked about with that, not quite as real. Like a lot of coincidences have to happen for that movie to work, and as far as like would it happen in real life, but kind of the same concept in that you have a really really comedic actor who's now playing like super sad boy, right? And he just knocks it out of the park. And like as you get to watch like the family each resolve their issues, but focusing kind of specifically on him sort of rising out of his depression by finding this newfound like love of his family that he kind of had distanced himself from. It's really beautiful, and he sells it so incredibly well because it's not just like I'm sad, okay, now I'm better. And the way that he delivers like his lines and like the way he slowly like changes his expressions to be more and more and more like okay with life, it just is the perfect level, like perfect gradient, like, and that takes a lot of good acting in my opinion. So it's my number 4.
Yeah, my number 3 is going to be so. Like, I'm not even gonna tell you my number 3. I'm just gonna set the stage.
Okay.
So my number 3 was in this serious drama that had a voice. It had something to say that was relevant when it was made and relevant now. Mm-hmm. And then a week later, another movie came out where he had a COVID-19 mask over his nutsack, and it's Sacha Baron Cohen and the Trial of Chicago 7.
Also a movie with something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A week later, he was Borat once again. Mm-hmm. He just gives such a powerful performance. Without him, you don't really have the judge being so evil to say, you know. So you don't have that to play off of, and that's where a lot of my investment came from in that film. Mm-hmm. So to get me some, like, I love this film. And you know how I feel about
movie.
You know how I feel about putting recent films like high on top 10 lists, top 5 lists. But I love this movie. I think if it's not a perfect film, it's got 99% to me. I absolutely love this fucking movie. The investment that came from his character alone to me, off the charts amazing, and the reason why that movie worked.
Okay.
So, such a good damn performance. But number 2 is going to be a Good Will Hunting with Robin Williams. Obviously, he's done dramas before, 1 Hour Photo. But this was like Dead Poet Society. That was first, but this was second, and this is the one that I saw.
Yeah.
That really was like, oh shit. That's the motherfucking genie in Aladdin. And his performance is real to the point where it's like that father, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that
fatherly instincts he had, but like still like the big brother kind of, where he's like, they can sit there and just talk and joke and relate to each other. It's kind of prolific because everything he does, everything he's ever been famous for, even like in Dead Poet Society, he had to be a little bit of goofy to get on the kid's side at first.
Right.
But this is like, he's like 20, he's at least 21 because he's in the bars drinking, picking up numbers. I wish I had a Boston accent.
Awful impression.
I wish I had a Boston. That'd be amazing. Your cousin from Boston. And get some Fiji lagers.
Give me that funk, that sweet.
To me, that's the most memorable part of that movie is his performance. You know, that man can make you cry talking about his wife farting.
Ew, that was completely unnecessary. Disgusting.
So my number 3 is going to be Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine.
I'm surprised you don't really like that movie.
Of the Spotless Mind. So I've revisited it within the last year, and I think my issue was it just had this like, it has this amazing following, right? People love Eternal Sunshine. And I watched it, and I was like, this is a very good movie, but I just didn't feel like the hype behind it that I see all the time on the internet and whatnot. But like singling out Carrey's performance, specifically looking at it from the perspective of that's Ace Ventura. You know, like like this is the cable guy. This is Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber, and he's doing this, and he knocks it out of the park. It's so good. You know, I think people talk all the time about like if you can do comedy, you can pretty much do anything. And like, it's not exactly uncommon for comedic actors to come in and do a dramatic role and knock it out of the park, because comedy kind of requires all range of emotion, and you can pull comedy out of any specific, like, there are comedians that are like, their whole bit is like self-deprecation or talking about how awful the world is, and they still find a way to make people laugh.
Well, I feel like all comedies that you're taking pain or your circumstances and making them so exaggerated that it's funny.
Yeah.
That's why anything can be funny, I feel like.
That's my opinion!
Even if you're acting that out and none of that stuff is necessarily exactly how it happened for you, like digging into that and like reaching into that part of you to be able to convey the emotions that you would feel going through that, it's like, it takes skill and it takes guts, and it's a side of him that is just really surprising just because of how incredibly wacky almost everything else he does is. And I kind of wanted to go Truman Show, but you still get a little bit of like wacky Jim Carrey in the Truman Show.
Yeah.
So I went with Eternal Sunshine.
Because that's the thing with Carrey. I said it with, I don't remember who I said it with. I said it about somebody. But it's like they've had performances where they've been dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Man on the Moon, Truman Show. But even with those performances, there's still a touch of comedy in there.
Yeah, right.
Like Man on the Moon, he's playing a comedian.
Right.
But it's a dramatic role.
Yeah. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is probably your number 1, and it's Mr. Sandler in Uncut Gems.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Again, it's like going back through the...
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
When you play a shyster, I'm automatically going to love it. Like, there's going to be bias towards it, and I'm okay with that because I love shysters. I'm a shyster, if I given the opportunity, I could sell Steve Urkel the glasses on his own face. Like, hustling's in my blood. I love hustling. Like, if I had to give up sex with mixed girls or hustling, I guess I'm a born again virgin. Because that's how much I love hustling. And to see hustling on my movie screen, I love it. Whether it's The Sting or whether it's Uncut Gems. But the thing about Uncut Gems is he's a shitty ass hustler. He's terrible. Like, if you go through like the worst movie hustlers, him and Dustin Hoffman are fighting for that number 1 spot.
I don't know if that's true or not. So like the bits of his life that we see, like, yeah, and obviously he's got some debts when we start the movie, but the man has obviously still been like successful to a degree, right?
Yeah, but look at his father's place.
Okay.
No, that's generational wealth. He didn't make that shit.
Yeah.
So this dude is just like when that movie came out, I got a couple text messages and like, you seen Uncut Gems yet? And I'm like, of course I have. They're like, yeah, you're probably going to die that way. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. That's kind of fucked up. But if I went out that way, I would be fine because he's banging this like beautiful girl, literally a homewrecker throughout the entire movie.
Yes.
He's hustling. He's meeting NBA players. He's hanging out with Lakeith Stanfield. Like,
he punched The Weeknd.
Yeah, he beat up The Weeknd when he had crazy hair. Like, the dude's, he lives on a roller coaster. And that's what I love about it, because Adam Sandler, he's like a dinosaur, Like, they're cool to look at, but leave him in the museum. He don't need to be making any more movies. So for him to make something I actually enjoy in 2020, I was like blown away.
Yeah, I feel that.
Crazy. What a great performance. I'll let you talk about it for a minute.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. And it kind of goes back to the same thing. Like, a big chunk of this list to me was, okay, so there's a comedian doing serious acting. So how far separated, like, how far this way on the comedy scale are they normally versus how far this way on the drama scale did they go and do it well? And that's pretty much why this is on my list. I mean, this is Happy Gilmore, This is Billy Madison.
Yeah.
This is the dude that did Jack and Jill.
A Waterboy.
Like, so, and I agree with you. You definitely get like some Sandler, like, that comedy, that voice in this role. But it fits it so well. It doesn't feel out of place. It's not like the Truman Show where it's like nobody would act that goofy in real life. it fits. Like, and that could be a real person. And people who have that level of charisma and are out here doing this stuff, I find the few that I've met often have that kind of like personality, you know? So I think all of it fit really, really well. Even if it is a Sandlerism, it just still blended so well into the dramatic performance that he gave. And specifically, like, the emotions that he sells in the film. Like, when he's breaking down, because he just is like, you know, he knows he fucked up and, like, you know, all this stuff, and he's scared. And so we get to see sadness and we get to see fear come out of this man. And it is not like how he acts sad in all of his other movies.
I mean, even, like, when he's playing basketball... I mean, watching basketball, like, you've seen him in, like, other movies like Mr. D, stuff like that, where he's, like, gets excited watching sports. Big Daddy, he's watching hockey. He's like, oh, you know, like, the difference in acting between that is, like, okay, he's not acting in Big Daddy, but he's acting in Uncut Gems.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, that big difference. And it's crazy because it's, like, this is, like, one of the few films I think he doesn't wear basketball shorts. You know? Like... He wears basketball shorts about every movie now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
and in real life.
Yeah.
Like, he just wears his clothes to the set and
like,
he stays in it.
Dude showed up to IHOP a couple weeks ago in basketball shorts and, like, off-brand North Face. Like, he doesn't give a fuck.
It makes sense. So that was your number one, obviously.
Of course that was my number one.
So my number one was your number two, and it's Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting. And it's just like, so you immediately went, this is the genie in Aladdin. But I was born in 1990, so
Jumanji.
My brain went, that's the dude from Flubber?
Oh, shit.
Like,
I've seen Flubber.
What? And Jumanji. Big Jumanji fan. And yeah, and it's like, it's that same thing. There's just no wacky Robin Williams in it. And you mentioned the same thing with Dead Poet Society. Like, he's still got that kind of, like, young, plucky, like, a little bit of Mork and Mindy-esque, like, stuff in there. And that's fine. I mean, Dead Poet Society is a good movie, and it, like, you know, has some really dark themes, and he handles it really, really well, and he's great in it. But Good Will Hunting, it's like, he is playing a guy that was, like, incredibly smart, like Ivy League smart, right? And that is just so far from most of Robin Williams' characters. Like, in Patch Adams, he's in med school, but that's still kind of goofy in a lot of ways. So the way this man sells the emotion and, like, the pain he's gone through losing his wife and all that stuff, it's incredible to see somebody who normally is just doing this wacky, like, goofball stuff, and that's his shtick, and that's, like, almost all he's ever been known for, because even in his serious roles, he's still been doing that. They just come out a little older and, like, literally watch him change an incredibly damaged young man's life while managing to find some healing in his own in the same process. And to sell that as a comedic actor in a dramatic role without letting any of your comedy style bleed through is amazing.
I got a question.
Who would you forget?
What do you mean?
If you could, like, erase one person, who would it be?
If I could wipe one off this list?
No, I'm talking about, like, a person in your real life.
Oh,
They don't have to be a relationship.
I'm not gonna put that out in the world.
Tell us what you think about this down in the comment section below. Scroll back up. Like the video. Scroll back up a little bit more. Actually, I think you gotta scroll down a little bit more. Hit the thing that says open description. Become a Patreon. That shit's fire. He talks about Star Wars. I talk about Netflix and chill stories and the movies that are playing in the background. And then we talk about movies and other stuff. There's bloopers and all kinds of stuff. And there's going to be some bloopers from this video in there too. Because he brought up Flubber, and I've been flubbing a lot. But yeah, do all that good stuff. And subscribe. I meant messing up my words. I don't know why you looked at me.
It's not a game, it's a